Are you ready to unlock your full potential and maximize your productivity? Look no further than Productivity Smarts, the ultimate audio podcast hosted by renowned productivity expert Gerald J. Leonard. In every episode, Gerald shares captivating stories, invaluable tips, and cutting-edge strategies that will transform the way you approach productivity. Whether you're looking to reduce stress, overcome overwhelm, or simply get more done in less time, Productivity Smarts has got you covered. But that's not all. You'll also gain inspiration from real-life success stories of individuals who have achieved greatness through productivity. Plus, you'll learn the latest tools, techniques, and habits that will help you achieve a new level of happiness and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. So why wait? Join us every week as we delve into the exciting world of productivity and help you unleash your full potential. Get ready to take your productivity to the next level with Productivity Smarts. As a productivity expert and host of the Productivity Smarts podcast, Gerald J. Leonard has been a proud supporter of Kiva since 2011. Kiva is a non-profit organization that helps entrepreneurs in third world countries access the capital they need to start or grow their businesses. By making a small loan through Kiva, you can help these entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, support their families, and contribute to their local economies. And with a repayment rate of over 96%, your loan can be re-lent to another entrepreneur once it's repaid, creating a ripple effect of positive change. So if you're looking for a meaningful way to make a difference in the world, consider making a loan through Kiva. With loans as small as $25, anyone can be a microlender and help change lives. Visit kiva.org to learn more and start lending today.
Today, I am speaking to Lou Pelliccioni. Now, over the past 6 decades, he has experience across sports, business, and real estate. He's going to share wisdom that transcends mere victories. His book, Success is More Than Winning, 99 Tips to Up Your Game, blends personal stories, proven performance strategies, and scientific insights to help listeners find the missing link to real fulfillment. Lou, how are you?
Gerald, I am wonderful.
Well, listen, I know we were talking a little bit earlier in that you have an Italian descent, and you've been to Rome, Italy 3 times. I had a chance to go there this year, and I'm telling you, if I could move there and live there and eat food every day, I would.
And you'd lose weight.
Yeah, my wife and I, we ate so much and we actually lost weight when we came back. We had so many gelatos at night, and the food is amazing, and the culture and the people. So it was such a great time. Well, listen, let me ask you a couple of questions before we get started here that I always ask my guests because I'm a musician, and that is, what is your favorite genre or style of music?
Oh, my. I just came back a few weeks ago. I was giving a talk out in Vegas.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going next week again to give a talk at a high school. It was funny. I wrote down when I knew I was going to be on your show.
Yes.
There is my list. And I'm going to read. Those are all the people I've seen in Vegas. When I read the first 3, you'll know what my genre is. I grew up in the era of Motown.
Okay.
4 Tops. I've seen the 4 Tops. I've seen the Temptations. I've seen the Supremes, the Spinners, Barry White, Donna Summers, Stylistics, Lionel Richie, Robert Knight, the Commodores, Whitney Houston, Jackie Wilson, Marvin Gaye, the Floaters, Boyz II Men, Michael Bolton, El Divo, Cher, Tina Turner, OJ's, Hootie and the Blowfish, and I could go on.
Okay, so let me ask, is it country and west? No, that's not it.
No, that's not it. No. But I like all forms, but nothing. The music I still play is the old music from Motown. That's what I grew up with. I love it. It motivates me, and I'm not going to say I don't like the newer forms of music.
Sure.
But I like the ballads, and, I get in fights with my kids, now talking, I'll say, how can you listen to that new stuff? It's garbage compared.
Right.
It's just garbage compared to, I grew up where people were talking about making love to each other and enjoying each other and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Stuff today.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Well, listen, it sounds like you have a rich musical interest and a rich musical heritage and background. So let me ask you, you've done a lot in your career and you wrote this book called Success is More Than Winning, which is an interesting title because some people, success is all about winning. And so how did you get started in your career and what has helped you to become so consistently contributing to your success? What's helped you to grow?
that's a whole book. But you just asked that one question. I hate to say it. I was very fortunate. I started coaching. I was big in sports.
Yep.
I played every sport in high school. I lettered in football, basketball, baseball, golf, and tennis.
Okay.
So I played everything, loved sports. And I really thought about it. And then I went on to college and played on the West Virginia University freshman team. But as I say, I learned really quickly that sports was not going to be my future when I played against an All-American, Fritz Williams at West Virginia University. And I think he stuffed me in the basket a few times. And I said, well, looks like I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be a player. But I couldn't wait to coach. And I was a sophomore in college.
Okay.
And going along, and the principal at the school called me and said, Lou, we just had a coach that was coaching the 8th grade team get sick and can't coach. Season starts in 2 weeks. Can you coach him? And of course, I jumped at it. And it was my first. And then I was helping the high school coach. And then I hadn't even graduated from college. I had another semester to go. And the job came available at the high school where I had gone to school.
Right.
And they gave me the opportunity. And I couldn't pass it up. And we got special permission. I was 20 years old and spent 5 years there, won a couple state championships, over 80% winning percentage. And I thought it was me because I was young,
Right.
I said, now I look at it and said, you know what? I had really good players. And realized you got to have good players to win. I mean, yeah, coach
They
can make a
compensate
difference.
for you, right?
Yeah, but that's kind of what got me started. And I had an obsession for coaching, and I was very fortunate. I coached at junior high, high school. I went on to small college, and I spent my last 7 years in coaching. I was an assistant at West Virginia University under Gail Catlett, who spent 25 years at WVU.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And it's interesting because what you thought you were going to be as a player, you realized that,
Oh, yeah. It didn't take
there's
long.
a change of direction. And that usually happens to us. But then you discovered that you really had a passion for coaching. And it sounds like once you made that determination yourself, it's like the doors started opening where people started reaching out to you because now you had made a decision that, okay, this is where I'm going. And without telling everybody, they picked it up that this is where he wants to go and started opening doors for you, which is amazing. Because that's basically how it works, right? When we make a firm decision about what we want to do with our life and where we're going and the direction we're going to go, then it's like God and the universe just opens the doors because now we've made that firm commitment to it.
Oh, yeah. And Gerald, I like I said, I look back on my life. I'm going to be 77 here in a couple of months.
Wow.
And I'm still working full time. I'm going around. I just gave my, I think, 14th or 15th talk in high schools.
Yeah.
I'll go anywhere and talk to any high school kids at no charge, no matter where it is. And I've been in 6 states so far, and I'm having a ball doing it. It's just that, I don't know, you look at different things, and I've been very, very fortunate. One of the people asked me, they said, well, what's the most important thing about, why you've been successful? I said, I followed my passion. I found my spark.
Yeah.
There's even a book out. The book was written in 2004. And it studied all the different reasons why people are successful. I mean, intelligence, IQ, knowledge, everything else. And it came down to the number one reason was grit, which is passion and perseverance.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've had 2 careers. My first 17 or 18 years, it was in coaching.
Okay.
And my last 40 that I'm still working has been in finance. So I went from my obsession, which was coaching, to my hobby, which was the stock market. Which
Right.
I bought my first stocks when I was 17. And I love it. I go home and watch finance shows. My kids think I'm nuts. They said, are you ever going to slow down? I said, no, I love what I'm doing. And,
Exactly.
and now
What's the point of retiring and going out and just swinging the golf ball all day if that's
No.
not what you enjoy and you really enjoy what you get to do now? It's almost like you are retired, but you just have to, because you enjoy what you're doing. And
Yeah.
when you said you're 77, I thought, wow, you look like you're in your 50s, honestly. You don't
Well,
you do not look like you're 77.
no,
And you look
thanks.
like you're in the middle of your career, and it shows on your face. You're glowing, and that you're having a good time with that, and you're excited about continuing living this life and sharing and making a difference in other people's lives. And obviously,
I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. I got that attitude from my parents. I had wonderful parents when I grew up, and my
Yeah.
mother was just, and I grew up poor. I had government cheese. These people talk about, you had it all. No, I didn't. I didn't grow up with everything given to me or anything else. But my mother was the Mother Teresa of the neighborhood. True story.
Okay.
I was about 12, and there were these men out on my front porch, and my mother was taking soup and a sandwich out to them. I said, Mom, who are these people? And she said, son, those are the train riders. They stopped. There was a station down over the hill from where I lived.
Right.
And they come up over the hill, and we're just helping people out. Well, I didn't think a whole lot of it. So I'm 18. They're still coming.
Right.
So I finally asked my mom, I said, Mom, how do they know? They don't go to the next door. They don't go to this other big house up there. They come to this house. And I lived in I think we sold the house. We got $40,000 or $50,000 for it when they had passed away. So
Right.
It wasn't a luxury house at all, but I didn't know it. I enjoyed life and I enjoyed my time.
Right.
And she said, son, let me show you. She took me outside, and our porch sat, and then the stairs went down to the sidewalk. And she said, you see that X right there? That's the train riders showed it to me that they make an X. And if you've ever read anything about the train riders, they had their own language. They talked about different things as they traveled through different towns.
Right.
And the X meant that this was a house that was a good house where you could get a meal. And even though we didn't have a lot, she taught me to give.
Right.
And there's just no question. And I thank her every high school that I go to. I said, Mom, I'm doing this for you. And because of, what you've taught me, and
Right.
that is to give and to help other people. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And I've got enough people out there that want me to come because I got a lot of talks coming up in the future. And like I said, I want everybody to know, give me a call. I'll go anywhere. I just came back from Vegas and gave a talk.
Excellent.
So
Excellent. Well, that's so important because it's basically the law of reciprocity, right? And the law of tithing. When we give and we're helping others, then life gives back to us. And
I believe it. I'm
there's
not
more
doing it
hope
for
with
that reason, but I know I've
difficulty.
been blessed.
Yes.
And I just keep trying to give, and I really enjoy it. I get such a dopamine hit out there with the kids, and it's just I can't wait. I
Excellent.
look forward to it.
Excellent. Well, let me ask you a question about your book. The success is more than winning. The
Mhm.
journey beyond winning. Your work emphasizes the success is more than winning. Can you share a personal moment when growth over victory made the greatest impact on your life, either personally or professionally?
Well, when I think back to, first of all, I had great teachers, great coaches when I was growing up, and it was not win at all costs. I really hate what I see today.
Yeah.
That you look at almost every level, especially in college. I don't want to name names or anything, but it's there. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's all about money.
Yeah.
Money's too important. I didn't grow up that way. In fact, I was taught integrity. I played golf where you didn't move the ball because it was integrity and people were cheating like everything else. And I didn't grow up that way. In fact, it wouldn't mean the same to win if you had to cheat to win.
Right.
And as far as I'm concerned, and we've got to get back to teaching kids that there needs to be integrity. You don't win at all costs. And so I've had different things. Oh my gosh, so many different things of growth over victory where, we lost my first year in coaching. We went 20-2, but we lost in the semifinals of the state tournament. And the high school that I coached at, St. Francis in Morgantown, was a small Catholic school.
Okay.
We'd never won a championship. And that was my goal, or our goal was to win one. We thought we had a pretty good team, which we did. But I learned a great lesson that I learned later about competing against yourself, and you can't compete just against your competition. We were a small single A school, so the schedule I didn't put together, the other coach put together, was really all small single A schools.
Right.
What we were playing against in the state tournament, better schools, because it was all the Catholic schools. And some of them would have been qualified as high as AAA and AA.
Right.
So I had some good advice for some good people. And they said, Lou, you got to toughen your schedule. You've got to get better, even if you lose.
Right.
It doesn't matter. If you want to win a state tournament, you've got to be good enough, and your kids have to be able. So we toughened the schedule up the following year. We played some bigger schools. The year after that, we played a school. We had 200. We played a school. We had 2,400 kids.
Oh,
and we
wow.
beat them. But they had learned because of the competition, and to always strive to compete against yourself, not the competition.
Right.
And I'm just a big believer in that. I'm a big proponent of John Wooden, the coach at UCLA.
Yeah.
And I'm just very fortunate that I picked him. I read all his books. I went to his practices, and the lessons that he taught, like his 4 mindsets. Oh my gosh. I've learned so much. These 4 mindsets, if you can do these 4, you will be successful.
So what are those?
Stay in the present.
Okay.
Stay in the present. I saw him when I was 20 years old. My boosters club said, Lou, you've done a great job your first year. We want to send you wherever you want to go. We know you have a lot of coaches you like. I said, I want to go to LA and I want to see John Wooden. And so I flew out and I'm listening to him, and he addressed us. I was there for a couple of days, and he really, just the things he taught. But he's standing there before his team and he said, okay, the next 2 hours are mine. I want you to forget about everything. I want you to stay in the present. And he always talked about staying in the present. You're in basketball. We're learning basketball skills, strategies. Forget about your girlfriend. Forget about what happened. Forget about the test you have tomorrow. But to his credit, when basketball was over, he then said, okay, basketball is over now. If you had a bad day, stay and practice a little bit more. If you didn't do what you wanted, but it's over. Go out. If you have to go study, 100% studying. If you're going out with friends, 100% having a good time. And it took me years to be able to learn all that. And I'm excellent at it now, should be. If I've been doing it for 50 years, I can go from something that it didn't turn out right, out to having friends, and I'll be as happy and have such a wonderful time. As soon as that's over, then I'll work on something that I didn't like that happened. So that's one. Competing against yourself. That's also the thing he talked about. Do everything to the fullest, which is very similar to staying in the present. Whatever you're doing, do it to the fullest. Stay in the present. Don't let the past or the future bother you. Compete against yourself. And then the other one, I can't tell you how much it helped, and that is stay even keel. If you ever watched John Wooden coach, he never got excited. He was just watching. He was adding strategies, getting things. Because he said, and it's true, I watch players today. They're slamming their helmets. They're getting all this. And then they're making mistakes on the field.
Right.
And that's what Wooden said. If you are not even keel, you will make mistakes.
Right.
And my teams emulated that. They were very even keel. And that second year, we played very good competition, and we won our first state championship in the school's history. We won the next year. In the third year, we should have won it, but the coach made some mistakes, and I won't mention who he was, but we would have won 3 in a row, and we won over 80% of our games the 5 years that I was coaching high school. And I just had a great group of young men that bought into everything.
Excellent.
They bought in, and they worked, and they grew, and they got better all the time, which, and so I've just had just wonderful, wonderful people, from teachers, parents, teachers, coaches, mentors. I really think, Gerald, you're going to laugh at this. I told some people this, and they looked at me and they said, are you nuts? I said, I really think I should have done better in life. With the people that I had, with great parents and great teachers and great coaches and great mentors like John Wooden and stuff like that, they've all helped me to be better than I think that I am. They've pushed me to that limit, and I've pushed young people.
Yes. We all need coaches and mentors. I always say my tagline is that mentoring and coaching is the HOV lane of life. If you ever lived in an area where there's a lot of congestion,
Yep. Okay, I like
want to
that.
get home fast, you get a friend or you get somebody with you and you get into the HOV lane. And the thing about the HOV lane is you have company, you can go the speed limit or a little faster, you can relax, you can get there really quickly, you can enjoy yourself instead of being stuck in life by yourself trying to figure it all out. And I think,
I like that.
yeah, I think that sounds like.
Can I use that?
Yeah, yes, I give you permission. You can use that one. It's
I'll
the
give you
HOV
credit.
lane.
Don't worry about that.
Well, listen, you have over 60 years of
Mm.
insights.
Yeah.
How have you seen productivity principles evolve with timeless habits, or which timeless habits remain most viable to you today?
Wow. That's another book. I mean, that's such a good question when you're talking about habits. Probably, and I don't know why I bought into this at an early age, but for 50 plus years, I have set goals every year.
Yeah.
I'm a goal planner. I do it every November and December around the holidays. I set my goals for next year.
Yeah.
I've been a time management person. I don't know why. I loved it. The number one productivity tool in America the past 100 years was revealed, where they revealed all 100. And number one on the list was box planning.
Yeah.
And that's where you put, it's very simple. Every hour of every day, you have something slotted in there.
Right.
So your goal is to maybe do one more thing a day than if you didn't plan.
Right.
Now, I tell people that. In fact, I've got my own, believe it or not, I've got my own workbook coming out that has goal planning, dream boarding,
Mm-hmm.
and planning, journaling, and authoring all in one book that you can do everything in one book. These are the things I've used in my 50 years. There's no question. Think about it this way. If you do one more thing a day than you wouldn't have done, you've done 356 more things in 1 year.
Right.
By just doing a little planning. Everybody says, but you plan everything. Yeah, but you can change it. It's not that if something comes up, and I've already told you, believe me, I'm a big believer in priorities in life. Family is number one, faith, family, that I'm right there. If somebody calls me and I was going to work on something,
yeah,
I'm going. I'm going out to have dinner with friends. I'm going to a ball game with somebody. I'm doing other things. And so I think priorities and all that are very important. But the planning, that type of planning, box planning, has just done so much for me. I've done so many more things in life than I would have if I wouldn't have found this in my 20s.
Yes.
I was very lucky.
Planning is really critical. And I love the fact that you, even at 77, you're still having goals. Right?
Oh, yeah. I've got goals. I will, in fact, it's funny, it's coming up November and December, and I will plan, and I'm going to have in there, I'm doing more things with high schools and so forth, and so that I can continue to give back. And I've actually added, besides kids in high schools, and it's worked out very well, I have a talk that I talk to the teachers.
Okay.
And I talked to them about success in kids.
Right.
Well, research. I was very fortunate. Again, I signed with Bradley Publishing and Author Success. They did Chicken Soup for the Soul, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, some pretty good books.
Yeah, exactly.
And I signed with them.
Jack Canfield.
You'll love this, Gerald. I'm probably in my second meeting with them. And we did a Zoom call all over the country every month almost.
Yeah.
There'd be 150 editors and 150 authors on this call.
Okay.
And I'm just listening. I'm in the second meeting. And then all of a sudden I hear, Mr. Pelliccioni. I'm going, I'm already in trouble and I'm only in here in the second week. But listen to this question that she asked me. She said, Mr. Pelliccioni, tell me what your book is going to be different from the other 100 success books that are out there. I mean, a pretty tough question in the second week or second month.
Exactly.
And I said, well, first of all, I have over 100 stories.
Right.
So I'm patterning it after Chicken Soup for the Soul. She said, that's wonderful. That's obviously we know that works. What else are you doing? I mean, she didn't let me say, and she said afterwards, I said, well, I haven't really thought about it because I'm just getting started, but getting my outline of things I want to say. And she says, well, I'm going to give you an idea. She said, I've read every success book out there. I've never seen a success book that has research that backs up their experience.
Right.
And she said, I'll be glad to help you if you want to do it. The next call, I said, you know what? I'd love to do that. And she helped me. And I have about 75 research projects in my book.
Yeah.
She even showed me how to do it. She said, this is just something, one paragraph on each
Right.
study, not a page and a half. They're not interested in that.
Right.
All they're interested in is the result.
Right.
And I have used that, and it has been wonderful. And I even learned some stuff by studying the research.
Exactly.
And I've been working 50, 60 years, and I learned some great stuff. And it's worked out very well. And the talk that I give to teachers is what research tells us about kids and success.
Right.
And that's going over well. And I even have a couple talks coming up. I'm talking to parents.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm getting into it. I'm really having a lot of fun. You give me an audience, I'm there.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I think it's very encouraging and it's inspiring that, again, at 77 years young, I'll
Yep.
say that, you are not talking about all the things that you've done, but you're talking about all the things that you're going to do. I
Yeah.
think once we get to a certain place in our life, if we find ourselves talking more about the past than about the future,
Yeah.
we've put ourselves in a place where we're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're all you're doing is talking about the past, then you're constantly looking behind. And if you're looking behind but walking forward, you're going to stumble. You have to have things that you're looking forward to. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons you come across and you seem and you look, and it's not just a put on, it's just who you are. You're much younger than your chronicle age because you wake up every morning with this list of things that you're planning on doing. You know that you're going to go and talk. You're giving your time and resources to talk to young people, the kids, to parents, to the teachers. You know that your life's making a difference in somebody's life. It's kind of like the starfish. There's a ton of them on the sea, but you pick one up and throw it back in the water and says it makes a difference to that one. And so when you can wake up and live that way, you know that you're making a difference. And so hats off to you. And
Well, thanks.
keep
Thanks, Gerald.
sounds really, really great.
Gerald, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is that I had speakers when I was 15, 16, 17 to come in and I listened to them. I still remember their talks 60 years later.
Right.
And because they had such an influence, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest in the world or anything, but I think I've had enough success and I've had failure that I can help people, to understand things like the three enemies of success or fear, risk, and failure.
Right.
How you handle those three things are going to dictate your life.
Yes.
They're going to dictate your life. And whether you're going to look at them as negatives, positives, how you look at them. And there's just so many things out there. I heard somebody, it was funny. Somebody was talking to me one time and they said, well, what's the secret to success? What is there one thing what's the secret sauce? I said, there is none. And anybody tells you that there is, it's all marketing.
Right.
They're trying to get you to market. Oh, this one thing is going to make a difference. No, the number one thing we know is passion and perseverance, those two things.
Right.
But you can have passion and perseverance. And if you don't work hard, you're not going to make it.
Right.
You might love what you do, but if you only spend a couple of hours at it, you're not going to do good.
Exactly.
And if you can't handle fearing things and risking things, and if you can't handle failure, I don't care how much you love it.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this, because I did have a question around this concept of overcoming fear, risk, and failure. And you talk about them in your book as the three enemies of success, and you emphasize embracing failure. How can a professional reframe fear to transform it into their daily fuel for growth?
Great question. There's some companies out there today, which I've read about, I thought very interesting. One of them is Google, that if you don't fail 50%, they don't think you're trying hard enough.
Right.
Which is a heck of a statement. And that's the way I've run my life. Just like the reason that I played against better teams. And I took the risk that we might lose. But you know what? You learn from it. You learn what you're not good enough. I remember one time we had a ball game. We lost the game at the end. And it was kind of an official's call.
Yeah.
And, but it was a good team. It wasn't we lost to somebody. And the players were all complaining coming down. Well, that official blew the game. I said, no, he didn't. I said, we let the game be too close at the end where we let a human being maybe make a mistake.
Right.
And I said, I don't know if he made a mistake. I couldn't see it. So I don't know if he made a mistake or not. And I said, but what are we going to learn from it? Don't let that team be that close. That's what you got to learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't let it come down to
even if there's a mistake, they're still not going to win.
No. You've got to accept and you've got to go after it and not be afraid to fail. And there are even, like I say, companies doing that today.
Right.
And I don't know why. I think it's because I played sports. And I obviously I failed. You can't play sports and not fail. You can talk to Michael Jordan or whoever you want to talk to.
Yeah, he talks a lot about, in fact, he brags about how many times he failed and how many shots he missed, but it was the fact that he took all the shots and he just happened to hit some of them that were the right ones.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other shots that he missed.
Yeah. Now, there's no question it can influence your life with that. I tell young parents, get your kids involved in sports. I don't care if they're going to, 1% of them are going to play pro, but it's what you can learn. What you can learn from being out there, trying to beat someone, losing, and realizing why you lost.
Right.
And facing up to it, not making excuses. I went into this high school. You'll love this one. I went into it, and the principal was there listening to me. And she said, Lou, I got a little worried when you started talking about that privilege is an excuse. And she said, I was really worried what you were going to say. But you were right on. And she said, the way you started it is, I'm going to let you all know, I've had government cheese. I grew up poor, but it did not keep me from succeeding.
Right.
Using privilege is an excuse.
Yes.
And she said, yeah, I can tell you, are you at a disadvantage from other people that have more money and stuff? Sure. But it didn't cost me not to be successful.
Right.
That's what you have to learn from it,
right.
Not using it as an excuse.
Right. Well, the interesting is that a lot of kids or a lot of adults who find themselves in plush situations stop striving. They don't learn to have grit and to persevere.
Yeah.
And so then when things get really, really difficult, they don't know how to handle it and they don't know how to move forward and they struggle. Whereas someone who, like yourself and myself, where we grew up, and we didn't have everything we wanted, but we had enough to keep us, we had a place to stay, we had food to eat.
Right.
But then we wanted to do other things. We had to go out and figure out how to make it work and how to make it happen. And maybe we had to take on some jobs to buy. For me, it was buying an instrument because my parents couldn't afford to buy, all these instruments and things like that.
Yeah.
And even to take lessons. I mean, think about this. As a kid, I had to go out and work to get money to go find a teacher to pay the teacher to teach me how to play music.
Yeah.
Because my parents, they had the money and they had the resources to take care of us and make sure we all had what we needed. And I was the youngest of 6. But
that was extra.
Other stuff, I had to go out and figure out how to do it myself. Hence why now I am willing to pay money to learn from someone.
Yes.
I learned as a kid.
It makes it easier. I'm not going to say it isn't easier.
Right.
But if you want something, you should be willing to do whatever it takes, like you're talking about, like you had to do and I had to do to get it done. I never had a lesson. My family couldn't afford to have lessons.
Right.
Okay. So I had to read and self-study and do all the things. And, and I learned to be better at things because of that. I was very fortunate. One of the most important things that I tell people, when you grow in life, there's only 3 ways you can grow. Only 3.
Okay.
First of all, by experience. We all grow that way. But that's the longest route to get where you want to be because you have to experience everything to learn from it.
Right.
There are 2 other ways. One is reading.
Yes.
And I was not a very good reader when I was in high school, and I had a speaker come and talk about it. And I swear, Gerald, he was looking right at me when he said, you will never be successful if you are not an avid reader. I felt like he was looking right at me. And I changed my life. I started, and I've got thousands of books, and I'm a speed reader and everything else. And what it's done for me, first of all, you learn things quicker when you study and read.
Right.
And then you don't have to go through the experience of it.
Right.
And then the third thing is I've realized how important coaches, teachers, and mentors are.
Yeah.
And you can learn so much quicker. Listen to this one study. I use this in my talk to high school kids, and I almost laugh. It's so commonsensical. And I found it just fascinating. In this study, there was a study done that proved if you listen to your parents, your teachers, your coaches, and your mentors, you will be way more successful than people that don't. And it's like, and we got to have a study to prove that? I mean, is that how bad it is? And I tell people,
I can see
there it
it.
is. Yeah, don't listen to me. Listen to this 20-year study they did.
Right.
Listen to people.
Right. Right. It's interesting. Les Brown and Willie Jolly will always say, if you're in the box, you can't read the label.
That's good.
Right? So
Yeah.
you can't see, you don't know who you are, and you can't see yourself clearly. And so you need other people outside of yourself to tell you what's going on and give you advice and give you input and coach you and mentor you, because they can point out your strengths, they can point out your weaknesses, they can point out things that you can work on and so on. Because when you're in that box, you really don't see the outside of the label. You think you know what's inside the box, but you really don't.
No, very good. Les Brown's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's really, really good. Let me ask you this other question. Stress. There's a lot of stress going on today. Right now, the government shut down. There's all kinds of job things. There's just, you name it, it's out there. Handling stress while performing. And obviously, you had to work with kids on this because they're playing games, right? They're playing basketball. You're coaching them through stressful situations. And you talk about this in your book about managing stress. Could you describe a real life scenario such as coaching a high stakes game or closing a major deal where you apply techniques to stay focused and productive even under very stressful situations?
Well, now you're getting me into one of my other books that I wrote 45 years ago. I co-authored a book in the early 80s.
Okay.
And it was called Don't Choke. And it dealt with handling pressure in sports.
Yes.
And I learned so much. I was going through at the time, this professor at West Virginia University, Mike Scott, and myself, he was a professor in speech. And I was getting my master's in speech and communication at the time. Well, we started talking, and I would talk about it, and I'd say, I was coaching, and I would say to him, okay, you're helping people that have anxieties. What about kids that are great in practice, but they're not great in games? They're not handling the pressure of the situation. And he says, well, would you like to find out if there is something, what you're talking about? I said, yeah. So he sent me all over 2 or 3 states to like 100 high schools. And he had all these questions that we had developed to find what we called a choke test to find out if you would choke under pressure. And then at the time, I learned all these skills, learned one of the greatest skills that I've ever learned. I learned the art of relaxation. And I learned it from a physical, I can relax myself. I know how to go through my muscles and relax. And then I also started learning about the brain.
Right.
And how important it is. So I've been very big in this for 50 years. And of course, I include it in success. Listen to this other statistic. 70% of the problems you have in life are caused by stress.
Yes.
That's how important it is. But we don't teach anybody how to handle it.
Right.
We don't teach from a mental or a physical. And you got to learn both. I was talking 40, 50 years ago about mental imagery, how to use visualization, self-talk, how important. I knew it was very important how we talk to ourselves and our belief and stuff. Well, I found a study. Listen to this study. 85% of your success comes from your belief in self over your aptitude, your skills.
Yeah.
85% of that is caused by how you go into it and believe in self and so forth. And we know that you can put more stress on yourself by how you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And so I was always teaching people, mental things and stuff like this. I gave talks for a year to the PGA after I wrote the book.
Okay.
And so, Gerald, I'm giving a talk. My first talk was at Riviera Country Club in California, and I'm getting ready for my talk. And I got my head down. I got about a minute. And all of a sudden, I hear the door open, and I hear someone coming across those wooden floors in these big conference rooms they had. And right as I'm ready to talk, my first statement, I look up and I'm looking right at Arnold Palmer, who had just walked in and sat down. Now, you talk about my heart going like this. I had to settle my own self down, but I used it in my talk because I've had enough experience.
Right.
But afterwards, he came up after my talk and said, Lou, you're right on. He said, let me give you an example. He gave me this example. I've never forgot it. He said, you can put a mask over every golfer hitting on the driving range at a pro event. And other than a couple of them that have kind of different swings, they all can kill it. So what's the difference? He said, it's the 6 inches between your ears. Mentally, that's what separates winners and losers.
Yeah.
That's what separates the best from the worst.
Right.
And I've never forgot it. So I've always been a proponent watching how people talk to themselves, teaching mental imagery, visualization, looking at yourself. I mean, I remember another study that was done, and this was back, oh gosh, a long time ago, where the foreign teams that would come to the United States, the Germans specifically, they would sometimes have their teams practice in their mind. And that was the only practice they did.
Yeah.
Seeing themselves like as a skier, going down through all the places. And here's what's amazing. They would hook them up to electrodes.
Yep.
Your body would react as if they were actually doing it. That's how important it is.
Right.
What we believe, what we see, what we say. So I've always, and I think that's added. I was doing that with my high school teams.
Yes.
I was doing those kind of things. And there's no question it helped the success that we had and the college teams.
Yeah.
So
Mental visualization, the visualizing, the mental rehearsal. Obviously, as a musician, you do it all the time.
yeah,
You can actually practice your instrument without your instrument and just kind of like play through the song.
there we go.
And
There we go.
watch your fingers do it. And literally, like you're saying, hooked up to an MRI or EEG machine, it
Mhm.
shows that your body responds as if you're doing the activity. And in fact, if you do that long enough, you really will get better at whatever that is, whether it's writing or music or coaching or playing basketball or football or whatever. And if you think about it, in the beginning of all the professional games, the players come out and they have their headphones on. They're basically getting centered. They're visually walking through the game. They're visually
Yep.
practicing catching the ball. They're visually, just rehearsing so that when they're in the middle of it and they're in the heat of the game and things are really stressful and so on, they can still respond. It amazes me when I watch football, these receivers who catch the ball right at the edge of on the tip of their fingers, and their toes are right on the green before they fall, and they just grab it and they fall out of bounds, but they caught the ball. They didn't.
Concentration.
And it's
unbelievable.
under pressure. That only happens through mental rehearsal.
Yeah, you've got to do it. As I've learned, it's both physical and mental.
Yeah.
Your rehearsal has to be both.
But the mental part is just as important as the physical. And I think that's in every part of our life. If we're living a life right now where we're like, hey, I'm under stress, I'm under pressure, then, go meditate and visualize your life in a different place, and you will start bringing that into your life.
You got a lot of experience, Gerald.
I do.
You're bringing a lot of things too to the table, and you're right on. And you can tell you've done a lot of things.
Yeah, I've done a lot of this work on myself and rebuilding my life. And I had a major bout with vertigo in 2018. I lost the ability to walk 6 weeks before my TEDx talk. That's why I started a podcast, to teach people the things that I've learned. And I started studying neuroscience, epigenetics, quantum physics. I just went deep into, okay, what is going on? Why did this happen? And without medication, because there was no medication for what had happened to me, I was able to heal myself or go through a healing process where God allowed me to get healed, but there was no medication involved, and it was all mental work. I actually had to work on walking, and I had to do all the different things, but a lot of it was rewiring the way my brain worked, rewiring pressure, rewiring how I process things, reading a lot, being coached a lot.
Yep.
Starting this podcast was a way of doing it, to share these insights with people, that there is a way to deal with life that can either put you under the grave or put you above it. And, there's a way to deal with life where you're either looking in the past and you're regretting it, or you're looking, no matter how old you are, you're looking forward and you're excited about where life is taking you. And so I'm really happy to have you on the show and to talk about your book, Success is More Than Winning, because obviously you've done a lot of research and you got a lot of experience. And I know that if anyone picks up your book, they're going to walk away with over 100 stories, concepts, research, and so on. So,
well, thank you. That's what I've tried to do. I took the extra time.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of extra work, but I think it's made the product better.
Exactly. So let me ask you as a last question here. What are 3 simple daily practices from your book that you do, or that someone can put into practice immediately, that will boost their productivity and their fulfillment?
Well, you're going to go right away with the planning stuff. If you don't have a plan for the day, you're going to waste time.
Yeah.
So it's got to be one of the most important things. And I'm not saying you got to use the method I'm talking about, even though it's only the number one productivity tool the last 100 years. That's how important it is, but you don't have to listen,
Right.
And if you found another one, but it's got to be some form of planning.
Yes.
It's got to be. And because that'll help you. The other thing is I'm a big, big believer in trying to grow every day and be better than you were yesterday. And, there's a lot of coaches that talk about that. That's where I learned it. Yeah. And I think I'm still doing it. And somebody asked me, how do you do it? Every day I get up, I read 20 pages of a book that I'm trying to learn something from. So I start my day, I'm already better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And so you can do it in different ways. I can go out and exercise and try to be better than I was yesterday.
Right.
You go with that if you've planned, if you are trying to get better at something every day. And then there's no question, because I've been around very successful people, billionaires. I've seen a lot of different people. There's got to be priorities in life.
Yes.
And it's not about just work and making money. Another study, I'll end it with this, I think you'll enjoy. Of the most successful people, they don't do it for the money. The money is the byproduct.
Right.
And I love the line is that money never leads, money follows when you love what you do.
Exactly. I think that's a great way to end this, because it is such a true statement, and that money is a lagging indicator and not a leading indicator.
Yeah.
That really your passion and love and grit is the leading indicator, that if you have those in your life, then the money will follow.
Yeah.
So where can people learn more about you, reach out to you to speak at their school? Or,
for speaking or anything like that, all they go, I have a website, and the website is yesyoucansucceed.org, O-R-G.
Yes.
And that's the best. And they can get the book at Amazon, And by the way, I'm very proud of this. It's a bestseller on Amazon so far. And for an average person, that's pretty good.
That's excellent. Well, Lou, it's been a pleasure speaking with you and having this conversation. And thank you for enlightening us with the research you've done, with the years of insight and wisdom. And I can't wait to hear about your new goals for the year.
Okay. Well, I've got some already. You've been shocked.
In December, which we all should be doing that, right? Is developing our goals and continually looking forward and not looking back.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the Productivity Smarts podcast.
Thanks for the opportunity, Gerald. Appreciate it.
If you're enjoying the content and finding it valuable, we would appreciate it if you could take a moment and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us and helps us reach a wider audience. If you leave us a 5-star review, it would mean the world to us. Not only does it help us improve the podcast, but it also helps us attract more sponsors and grow our community. Thank you again for your support and for listening to the Productivity Smarts podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to Productivity Smarts, where we help you achieve your goals and live your best life. We hope you've gained valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your productivity and increase your happiness and fulfillment. Remember to apply what you've learned and keep striving towards your goals. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring episodes and expert advice from our host, Gerald J. Leonard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and unleashing your productivity smarts.